with Romain Nouzareth, Chairman, Co-founder, and CEO at Sato Technologies. It's a pleasure to have you on today, Romain. How are you doing?
I'm pretty well. Thank you very much for having me. It's really a pleasure to be able to talk about Bitcoin mining, and Sato Technologies.
Yes, I'm excited, and it's quite the time for that. So, as I mentioned, pleasure to have you on the channel. Can you start by giving us an overview on Sato, including, your founding story, mission, and the primary business lines the company is engaged in?
Sure. So we are Bitcoin miners. We started in 2017, originally by a side project just to have fun with a few entrepreneurs, including myself. I'm an all-time entrepreneur. I've been starting companies on the internet since 1995. So I've seen the bubble, the Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. And I immigrated in New York around 20 years ago. And of course, I was passionate with technology and Bitcoin. And with some friends and my brother Matthew, we decided to start our mining farm back in 2017. Looking at the market then, being based in New York, we looked at what would be the best way or the best place to find a place to mine Bitcoin. And we found out that Quebec was extremely great. So that's where we set up shop, and we signed a contract for 20 megawatt of energy that we are totally using today, that represents around 0.55 exahash. To give you an idea, if you compare to the total Bitcoin network, that's around 0.10% of the total Bitcoin network. We are operator and we are infrastructure people, meaning that we have no intermediary between the energy that we consume and the Bitcoins that we produce. And this is very important if you want to be efficient, because in the business of Bitcoin mining, it's all about being efficient. You need to be efficient at all the steps of the transformation of your energy into the Bitcoin mining by managing your electricity the right way, transforming it the right way, making sure that it can be put at the bottom of each Bitcoin miners or the rigs at the right voltage, so that your computers can work at the most efficient time, not only at the time of today, but also in a longer time, like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years. This is how we make money in the long run. You also need to work with a cooling system, making sure that your computers can stay at the same temperature. But this is really what we developed and what we worked on in order to be the most efficient possible for Bitcoin mining. The business is very capex intensive because not only you need to develop your own infrastructure for transforming your energy, developing the data centers, racks, cooling solution. We developed our own software to be super efficient. And you also need to buy the computers, the mining rigs, or sometimes we call them miners. So this is why in 2021, we decided to be publicly listed so that we could raise money at scale. We are following the steps of bigger miners that are already listed on the NASDAQ with multi-billion valuation. And we want to continue growing in the next cycle. To do another 10 times. We grew from 2 megawatt to 20 megawatt of energy that we are today running. And we now want to grow from 20 to 200 or more, depending on how much money we raise, and also depending on how much the market will react to Bitcoin and the Bitcoin price and the halving, which is also something that is happening in our industry. So all in all, we are a very small company. We're super focused on efficiency. We have produced extremely great results for the past 2 years. As a publicly listed, as you can imagine, everything is published every quarter. We even publish monthly report on our production. We show in 2023, Q1, Q2, operating cash flow positive. Q3, we are also EBITDA positive, which is exceptional in the industry. Most of the Bitcoin miners are not showing this kind of results. We were very cautious during the bear market. Now we are entering, we hope, or maybe we are already or we have started to become into a bull market. And now is the time for us to be aggressive and to grow way bigger than what we have been doing in the past. But first step in the industry, you need to be efficient. Once you're efficient, grow as big as you can.
Awesome. So let's talk unit economics now. So Sato's unit economics are crucial. Could you share your key metrics as the revenue per Bitcoin, production cost per Bitcoin, and the all-in cost per Bitcoin, along with discussing how these metrics contribute to the company's profitability?
Sure. Well, the most important data that most of the Bitcoin miners are following is the electricity price. Or we translate that into our industry on how much does that cost to mine one Bitcoin in electricity. 80% of our costs are electrical. So if you have an electricity price that is too high, it becomes very difficult to make money in a bear market. If you look at our data that we are publishing every month, we make a Bitcoin in kilowatt hour around $10,000. And to take all in for the electricity price, we're talking about 15,000 US to make one Bitcoin. And it's extremely important because it shows that even when the Bitcoin is as a price that is going down, you can still continue going and still continue mining because you make more money than you're paying for your electricity. In our business, in Bitcoin mining in general, we have something called the miner capitulation. It happens because, as you know, when Bitcoin miners try to mine a block that is happening every year on 10 minutes, people are sharing depending on their hash rate or their mining power. So if you have, let's say, 10% of the mining power, you get 10% of the block reward. But Bitcoin miners who are not profitable, who are paying the electricity too much, when the hash rate is too high, when you have too many people competing for the same block, people will stop mining when the electricity price is higher than what they make. So that's why it's something that is important. And in Quebec, we have one of the best price of electricity in the world, around 4.3 cents a kilowatt hour. And not only it's one of the best price, it's well priced, but what is also very important and very something that people are underlook usually in the industry is the fact that the energy that we have is very stable. It never stops. And that's what is important in Bitcoin mining. It's not only the price of the electricity, but it's also how much of this energy you can use on a 24 basis. You want the energy to never stop. And the energy that we have in Quebec is very stable, it's well priced, and bonus, it's one of the most clean energy you can find in the world because 99% or 97% is hydroelectric, and the rest is coming from solar, biomass, and wind. So it's almost producing no carbon emission, and we have one of the best energy. So this is the first ratio that we look at is how much does it cost to make one Bitcoin in electricity price. After that, of course, you have your operation and you have your G&A. But what is important, because we have the halving coming, if we make a Bitcoin, let's say at $15,000 a Bitcoin, it means that after the halving, this cost will go to 30,000. We will double because the halving twice less Bitcoin as a reward. So it means that our cost. And it shows that even when the halving comes, we will still be operating cash flow positive in market conditions. That's also something that is difficult to know in the market. We have two things that we don't manage. We can't know exactly what's happening. It's one, the price of the Bitcoin, and of course the hash rate. What we have seen, the hash rate has been increasing recently, but the price of the Bitcoin is also increasing, even if it's very volatile, as you have seen. The other data that we are monitoring is important because it's related to efficiency. The way we monitor ourselves in comparison to other Bitcoin miners is to find out how many Bitcoin you are mining per exahash. So basically, even if you have 10 exahash or 0.1 exahash or 50 exahash, nobody has 50 exahash yet. But we can say, okay, if you had only 1 exahash, how many Bitcoin are you making? And when we look at this ratio, we are always one of the most efficient miners if you compare with other publicly Bitcoin miners. In November, you can see from different kind of analysts, they do some ratings from all of the Bitcoin miners who are publicly listed. We were number 1. But with publishing around like 67 Bitcoin per exahash, that was in November. In December, we went higher at 71 Bitcoin per exahash. So we increased our efficiency. One of the reasons why we increase the efficiency, it's not only us, it's true that it's also all of the Bitcoin miners. We are making more money with fees. As a Bitcoin miner, we are making money with the reward of the block every 10 minutes. And on top of the reward, we are also getting a part of the fees. And the fees have been increasing a lot the past year. To give you a comparison data, in 2022, there was 5,000 Bitcoin made in fees. So all of the Bitcoin miners in the world, we shared 5,000 Bitcoin just for the fee. In 2023, the last time I made I looked at it was, I think, on December 15th, so I'm still missing like 15 days, but we're talking about 20,000. So we went from 5,000 Bitcoin reward, fees reward to 20,000. So it's really a lot, and we're making more. And this is mainly coming from the implementation of ordinal. I don't know if you have followed this trend. It's people don't like it to comparison, but it's the NFTs on Bitcoin. So that's really another issue that we look at because it's important for the efficiency. Again, the most important thing is to be efficient in the business. It's not to be the bigger, it's to be the most efficient. After that, we look at traditional financial data that we are publishing every quarter or even every month. Our revenues, 12 million year to date at the end of the quarter, which is an increase of more than 100%, double. EBITDA positive, operating cash flow positive, net profit in Q1 and Q2. That's really what is important into the market. Of course, the number of Bitcoin buy per week or per day or per month. We are making a little bit more than 1.2 Bitcoin per day with our hash rate power. Last month we made 38 Bitcoin.
Congratulations. Well, you just released, an operational update in December of last year. The recent operational update for December highlights key developments. Can you elaborate on those highlights mentioned in the update and how they align with Sato's strategic goals?
Well, the strategic goal is once we have achieved what we have achieved to be efficient, we want to grow and continue having more hash rate power. This is what we have been working on recently and lately, and I would say since the beginning of the company, because this is the goal of the company, is to increase our mining power. And this is what we are showing into the monthly publication, like making sure that we can grow every month, depending also of the hash rate, because when the hash rate increases, we make less Bitcoin. It's mathematical. Except if we also increase our hash rate. And this is why we are working into finding ways to increase our hash rate to make more money and more Bitcoin the same way that we've been doing before.
So let's talk efficiency and leadership now. So Sato is known for its best-in-class, industry-leading efficiency. As you just mentioned, how does Sato achieve such efficiency, especially in terms of Bitcoin mined per unit of exahash?
So you have different ways in which you can be efficient. The first way is with having newest generation of the computers. Everyone can do that. You just buy the newest generation, you will be more efficient. The efficiency at the miner level, at the rig level, is coming from the chip, the ASICs, that are more performant. And the computer itself is also more performant in the way it will dissipate heat produced by the mathematical operation made by the chip. Once you have this new type of generation of miners, the second part where you can be efficient is how you design your data center to be hosting those computers. And in order to do that, you need to make sure that you can put the right voltage at the bottom of each Bitcoin miners, and also that you can keep them at a regular temperature all year round, which is what we have done. And at the same time, when you do that, you want to make sure that you can lower the cost of this cooling system, because if you need to have AC, air conditioning in your data center, it will cost more money in electricity, but you will also have less electricity to mine Bitcoin. So what we have done is to use the cold air from Quebec to cool our data centers. So basically, we take the cool air from outside, we filter it to make sure that there is no impurities entering our mining center, and we mix it with the hot air that is produced by our miners, by our computers. So that the hot air that is coming from our computers, we remix it with the cold air that is coming from outside, and we make sure that at the entry point, the temperature stays constant. That's how you can get more efficient in managing your computers, not only again at the day of mining, but in a long time frame. The other part where that we developed in our company is a software that we developed internally to be more efficient on finding out which are of the computers that need repairs or making a change of a fan or any kind of things, so that we can identify very quickly and very precisely what needs to be repaired and by whom. Today in our farm, we run around like 6,000 computers. So you really need to make sure that you can access them quickly to make sure that they run most of the time.
Mm-hmm. So looking ahead, what are Sato's long-term growth plans? How does the company envision its role in the evolving landscape of cryptocurrency mining over the next few years?
Well, the goal for the company is to grow our mining power and also grow our data centers. There is a new trend in the industry that is very interesting. It's related to AI and HPC. We are entering this phase where the computing power in general is just increasing at a rapid pace. And we believe that we, Bitcoin miner, we have a role to play because we are transforming energy into computing power. So what we have learned and what we have done in Bitcoin mining can be transposed or can be done for AI and HPC. So in the future, we want to focus on not only increasing our hash rate power for Bitcoin mining, but also develop more data centers for AI and HPC. And the goal in there is how we will manage electricity. Because Bitcoin miners, we have something exceptional called curtailment. It means that we can stop our operation very quickly to give back the power to the grid, to the electrical grid when people need it around us, which you can't do with the AI and HPC. So by mixing the two, we believe we're going to have a new way to develop data centers that can both manage Bitcoin mining on one side and AI and HPC on the other side. So the goal, increase our Bitcoin mining power as quick as possible. Something that we have done many times, many years. We know how to do it. We know what to buy, how to be efficient, and add also this new part related to AI and HPC. At the same time, we are seeing new ways for people to use Bitcoin. Ordinals, for example, is one. Lightning Network for more ways for people to use Bitcoin on a day-to-day basis. And we also believe that building infrastructure for this new ways of using Bitcoin is going to be interesting. This is really the three ways in which we are focusing on. First and foremost, increasing our mining power, adding AI and HPC, and working on what we call L2, layer 2s on Bitcoin.
So when it comes to market perception, what do you believe the market is currently missing about Bitcoin miners in general right now? And how does Sato differentiate itself within the competitive landscape?
That's a very good question. It's true that in some extent, we are very similar. All of Bitcoin miners, we run computers the same way, almost the same way. You have small differences. Some people are doing liquid cooling, we're doing air cooling. You have some differences. What is important as a whole is that Bitcoin miners, publicly Bitcoin miners, are always overperforming Bitcoin in terms of efficiency for their stock price. If you look, for example, for us, but it's also the same case for everyone, from January to November, I think we took like more than 300%, whereas the Bitcoin took 180%. And it's not only us, it's all of the publicly Bitcoin miners. They are all overperforming Bitcoin in a bull market. So I think this is why it's interesting for people to look at this industry as a whole. Of course, Sato is an amazing company, but all of the Bitcoin miners are overperforming. And that's why we see lots of interest right now for stocks into our industry. Of course, the ETF news might come today. Is also helping because the ETF will bring a new breed of investors into Bitcoin. People who were afraid of Bitcoin, did not know exactly how it worked or what it was. Seeing that banks are able to, or financial institutions like BlackRock and the like, are able to invest into the ETF of Bitcoin will bring respectability to Bitcoin. And we will see more people going in it, and us Bitcoin miner will benefit from it. Of course, the increase of price coming from the possible ETF will also increase our margin because I was telling you earlier, we make a Bitcoin in electricity price for around $15,000. If the Bitcoin is at $100,000, that's more margin for us and of course for all Bitcoin miners.
So let's talk about adaptation to market changes. So cryptocurrency markets are known for their volatility. How does Sato adapt, its strategies and operations to navigate through market fluctuations and changes in the regulatory environment?
Well, it's true that it's volatile, but when you look recently at the stock market, it's also very volatile. You've seen tech companies going up and down very, very quickly, even more than the Bitcoin. So to some extent, I think it's over the years, the Bitcoin will become less volatile and more a refuge type of investment. And it's even truer or more true if you look with the fiat comparison. If you look at the price in things in Bitcoin, they are decreasing. You can buy an iPhone for almost 0.001 Bitcoin, and 10 years ago it was 2 Bitcoin, or even more than that. And the same thing for buying an apartment, buying a car. So I think this is what is interesting in the current market and where we are going to. People are seeing the value of Bitcoin as a way to hedge for inflation and to hedge for possible issues coming in the future about, again, inflation, insecurities in the world, and every kind of thing. So I think this is why it's important for people to be exposed to Bitcoin. And more and more people are realizing this. So the volatility, I guess, will not be as important as before, but it will at the same time become a store of value more and more over the years. And at the same time, I believe a way for people to exchange money on a day-to-day basis with the use of L2 type of solution.
So given the increasing focus on sustainability, how does Sato address concerns related to the environmental impact of cryptocurrency mining, and what steps is the company taking to ensure responsive and sustainable practices?
Well, we've been working a lot on sustainability and a green initiative. We are looking at our scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 of carbon emission, and we are very much focusing on making sure that we are not using energy for bad things. Some people, of course, will say that Bitcoin is unnecessary, but we believe otherwise. Our energy, luckily, because we are in Quebec, is very green. 99% producing non-carbon emission because most of it is coming from hydroelectricity, and the rest of it from the fact that we exist. It's very little. Yes, we have a few employees. They go with their car to our mining farm. We are buying carbon credit to offset this, but it's very little in comparison to the electricity, because the electricity produces almost nothing. What I think in the market today, more importantly than the energy used or the carbon produced by the energy, is the efficiency. And efficiency is something that Bitcoin miners, not only us at Sato, but everyone needs to be focusing on, because it's a question of life or death. And what we have done with Bitcoin miners is very interesting, because we can really manage our energy the right way to be efficient. And this is, I believe, what the world needs in the future, when we need to have more computing power. It's not only about Bitcoin mining, but it's also about AI, computing, video on YouTube, and all these kind of things. It's just increasing. So we need to be more efficient, and that's what we have been focusing on. And I think in the coming weeks, or let's say coming months and years, people are going to be more focused on the efficiency rather than the non-carbon emission. And anywhere we use a grid that is producing energy with different kind of sources, it's better if it's a green energy, but people are using energy given where they are.
That really makes sense to me. So, in a rapidly evolving industry, how does Sato stay at the forefront of technological advancements and innovation in cryptocurrency mining? And are there any upcoming technologies or strategies that the company is particularly excited about?
Well, the efficiency is coming from one having new type of generation of miners, the new generation of miners. This is where we are focusing. We want to always increase this efficiency, but at the same time, we want to use the miners that we bought before in the long run, because when they are fully amortized, they are pure profit. So this is also why it's interesting to have a high grade type of data centers, making sure that you can really monetize your computing power in the long run. On the market in general, what is more interesting and exciting or energizing for us is really the fact that Bitcoin is becoming mainstream. Mm-hmm. Again, the ETF news is getting there. We have more and more people being involved with Bitcoin. We're seeing Bitcoin being used as international settlement, which is the beauty of Bitcoin. Every 10 minutes, the network settles. So if you look at Visa or if you look at American Express, they don't settle anything in 10 minutes. It takes them 6 days, 7 days, 30 days to settle a transaction. With Bitcoin, it's every 10 minutes. So international transaction, very cheap, super secure, and fast at the end, 10 minutes. And then what's coming after, I think, is the day-to-day use. We are seeing this coming or starting in some countries like San Salvador. Maybe we will see Argentina. Argentina recently said that the private contract can be settled in Bitcoin. So it's interesting. So we are seeing this more and more. And for us, Bitcoin miner, it's the best thing because not only will have more people using Bitcoin, meaning more fees, and we will see also a price of the Bitcoin increasing, meaning more margin on the computing power that we have. So it's one of the best time in history to be doing what we do, and we can't wait for seeing what's going to come next.
It's a very exciting time to be involved in this industry. So finally, what key messages or insights do you want the audience, particularly investors, to walk away with after learning about Sato and its operations, and what sets Sato apart and makes it an attractive investment opportunity?
Well, the first thing that I would say is that look at every Bitcoin miners who are publicly listed. Not only us. As a general, the market, I believe, it's my own belief, I believe we're going to see huge increase of our stock price or valuation. You can find them, they are on NASDAQ, they're on TSXV like us. And it's exactly the right time because we are at the beginning of the boom. I've seen it before in 2018, in 2020. I've seen it before. Publicly, Bitcoin miners who are listed, usually they go way, way above of what they are valued today with a market cap that is low. As for Sato, I believe we are uniquely positioned we are a junior company. We are a small company. We've been listed at the end of the bull in 2021, but we are qualifying to become the senior. We are the next one. The companies who are very successful today, they've been able to raise lots of money in the last bull, 200 million, 300 million, and deploy this capital in the bear market. We are next. That's us. That's our time. So that's really the key into looking at the market, and why we believe we are good is again because we are efficient. And once you are efficient like us, go and grow as big as you can. We were not able to do it because in the bear market, it's difficult to raise money. People are afraid, they don't understand, etc. In a bull market, it's going to become exactly like we've seen in 2018, 2020. It's going to be people are going to be focusing on how much hash rate you are operating, or how much efficient you are, and we excel. So Sato, TSXV, Sato, or OTCQB, CCPU.F, that's our two tickers. But only again, of course, look at us. We love us. We believe in us. But I think it's an industry-wide opportunity to invest into Bitcoin mining.
Well, thank you so much for all that information, Romain. I definitely learned a lot, and I'm sure my audience will as well. So best of luck with everything, and I look forward to having you back on. It's a very exciting time for this industry right now.
Thank you. I'd be happy to come back anytime.